is objective?
I do.
Right. So, like, for example, when God says, don't steal, that's objectively wrong.
Yes.
Okay. And how do you prove that? How do you prove that it's objectively wrong to just steal?
I'm not really interested in proving it. I think that there's evidence. So I think one of the strongest evidences that there is objective morality out there is that we're unable to say that certain things are universally wrong without objective morality. So I think that's a very good argument for objective morality, but I'm certainly not setting out here to prove that God exists. I'm not here to prove that God's objective morality is true. But what I can say is that we can't make any moral claims without the existence of God.
Why not?
Because everything comes down to just people's opinion. So you have no basis to say that one person's moral opinion is better than another person's moral opinion. If we simply evolved from carbon and there's no God or no objective source.
Right, but isn't God's morality his opinion too?
It is his opinion, yes.
So we're back down to opinion, which is not objective, right? So even if God existed, which it doesn't, it's too dumb to exist, God's morality would still be subjective.
It actually doesn't have to be subjective. It could be objective, because he's the standard. He's the standard itself.
And how do you determine that?
I think there's lots of evidence for Jesus. There's lots of evidence for God. I'm not saying that
doesn't matter, right? I'll concede that, just for the sake of argument, that your God exists. How would it know that it's the objective standard? Just by its nature?
How would what know that it's the objective standard?
God, right? How would God know that his morality is the objective way?
How would God know that? Because he said it?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So God just says it, and that means it's objective. So why can't we appeal to the same thing like we do? Like for us, we can just say, well, it's wrong to be Christian, and I say it, therefore it's objective.
Because because at the end of the day, we just have different moral opinions, and there's no overarching authority. Nobody has the authority to declare. Only a creator would have the ability to declare what is actually moral. Otherwise, we just have different human opinions that vary widely.
Yeah, but there's no difference between God's opinion and my opinion. What's the difference?
His is correct, and ours is incorrect.
How would that be? How would you distinguish that?
I would say there's lots of evidence for it, and the Gospels evidence for it, and the Bible evidence for it in the world.
No, you're not understanding, right? You're saying God's opinion is fact. Mm-hmm. That seems to be a contradiction. By definition, opinions are not factual.
Well, it's not. It's not. So it's not just his opinion. It's also the objective reality. So I can let's say I have an opinion about gravity, that gravity exists. Well, gravity is not contingent upon that opinion. Gravity exists outside of my opinion, and that's similar to how objective morality works. We can have opinions, but there's only one opinion that's true, and that's the one that lines up with the objective morality.
Right, but we can verify that gravity exists outside the mind, right? We can verify with experiments. How do we verify that?
And I would argue there's way to verify. There's way to verify that God's objective morality is true, although not in an evidence sense of like we can't test it in a lab.
Right. So how do we verify that there are moral facts?
How do we verify that there are? Okay, so I would argue every human wants to believe in their heart that something like child love. This is a code word for something else. You know what I'm talking about. I would argue that everyone knows in their heart of hearts that that is objectively, in all cases, wrong. And yet, if we look at the natural world, we see evolution in a big bang that has evolved different human societies that evolve completely different things. And the issue is, atheism is immoral because it can't really say that any moral action is right or wrong. And so I would say this groaning and this desire within every human to believe in an objective morality is proof that one that one does actually exist.
Yeah. So first you deflected the thing I just asked you, but more importantly, atheism is not a doctrine. It doesn't have a specific stance, right? It's just the lack of belief in a God. So atheism in itself doesn't have an opinion as to what is good or bad, but that still has no bearing on the fact that we can still as atheists, come to morality by having opinions or preferences as to what we like or don't like, by evaluating the surroundings we're in and going, hey, if I punch this person in the face, it might hurt them, and they respond this way in a way that I wouldn't want to respond either. So hey, let's use our brains, let's use our logic and empathy to come to moral conclusions that are not necessarily factual, but they're just preferences. And that's a perfectly compatible thing for morality. We don't need God. You don't need God at all to be a good person, nor have any sense of morality, nor know or feel about moral things.
Okay, on what basis are you right and cultures that disagree with you about morality are wrong?
Yeah, that's the thing. We base the right and wrong based on, well-being and things like this. They're all subjective. No, but
so on what basis are you right and other cultures are wrong?
Hold on. You fall under the same problems as I do. Because how do you know that your God's morality is the right one?
Because he has decreed that is the only correct morality.
That's your opinion.
Okay. So on what?
So we're back to square one. It's both our opinions, right? But what I'm showing you is that
the difference is that the difference is my opinion, like gravity, my opinion lines up with the objective truth, and your opinion does not line up with objective truth. So even conceptually, your morality is subjective.
You just made a claim that your morality is objective. Prove it. Show it. That's the problem.
Oh no. I'm not saying that I can prove it by evidence. I'm saying that conceptually it could be true. Both of our moralities could be true. Well, I'm saying is this.
The atheist can say that too. I can say that as an atheist. That I could be objective. Okay. We're in the same boat.
Okay. So if you believe, so you believe that do you believe that morality is subjective or objective?
Subjective. It seems to be the case.
Okay. It seems to be the case. Okay. So you don't think that, so cultures that believe that child loving is okay, you believe that that's fine in their culture and what you do is fine in your culture. Is that true?
Absolutely not. No, I think they're wrong.
Okay, you think they're wrong, but you don't believe that they're in all cases wrong.
I think they're always wrong.
So subjective morality means that different cultures have different sets of morality, different moral opinions. And so objective morality means that there's one morality that everyone should follow. Subjective morality means different cultures have different moralities.
Subjective morality means stance dependent. Objective morality means stance independent. I agree. I still have a stance as to what is wrong, no matter the culture, right? Whatever culture there is that you just described, that's always going to be wrong to me, right?
Wait. So hang on. You believe that certain moral actions are always right and certain moral actions are always wrong?
Yes, and that's my opinion.
Okay, and that is objective morality, to say that there is one moral standard that everyone must follow.
No, that's just my opinion as to what is always wrong. That doesn't make it objectively so.
Okay, so that is subjective morality then?
Yes.
Okay, so that is why atheism is immoral, because you don't believe that pedophilia is in all cases wrong.
Yes, I do. And now you're being dishonest, because I do think it's always wrong. And by the way, the Bible promotes pedophilia.
Gotta change the subject.
Promotes all those things.
Quick, change the subject. Okay, so let me ask you again. Is child loving in all cases wrong?
Yes.
Okay, so you are invoking objective morality.
No.
And the question is, why is your morality better than another culture's?
No, that is my subjective opinion as to what is always wrong. It doesn't make it a moral fact.
Okay. So now you think that different cultures have different moralities?
Yeah.
Okay. So on what basis are you going to say that your morality? Okay. So if different cultures have different moral opinions, then you cannot say in all cases that child loving is wrong. This is why atheists are immoral.
I can say it's always wrong because that's just my opinion.
I don't think he's getting this. Let's get somebody else in here. Hey, Full Blood, what's up?
So that was just an example of somebody who was extremely dishonest and just doesn't care for learning, care for really understanding the topic. Well, according to atheists, they don't have objective morality, so they think it's okay to grape. Ha, got you, I win. That's not how morality works, right? Objectivity means beyond stances, and if I'm a person with a stance, I can't go beyond that. My stance about morality is that. Gravity is objective because we can empirically verify it to be real. right? It doesn't matter how you feel about gravity. If you jump off a building, you'll fall. But when it comes to things like morality, moral statements, that it's wrong to steal, how do you verify that? How do you demonstrate that it's always wrong to steal? How do you demonstrate beyond a matter of stances that there's some law of nature, there's some fact of reality that says stealing is wrong? The theist has no answer. They just say God did it. How do you get to objectivity, right? That's why I asked him, hey, how do you know that your morality is objective? And he said, God says it. Well, that's not objective. That's still God's opinion. How do you solve the question? And the theists dishonestly say that they have the answer because God, it's not an answer. It's just frustrating because theists, they don't want to understand this. They just want to propagate the notion that atheism is bad, but they don't recognize that they actually are susceptible to this problem more than an atheist, because an atheist's morality is able to adapt. A secular system is able to learn and adapt. Yes, morality can change based on what the evidence shows about what promotes well-being and what doesn't. That's a good system of morality, not one where it's just in the book and you can never question it. That can be harmful in the long term. But as an atheist, as a secular person, my morality is based on evidence that people's responses to certain actions are detrimental to their health, their well-being, and all these things. And we take that into consideration. And that is a very solid framework. My morality is better able to fit in with the current understanding of each other and society and people. Whereas his is not. His morality is stuck in the dark ages. Objectivity isn't needed. And the theist has such a hard time grasping this. That objective morality is not needed to have morality. We don't need objectivity to have opinions as to what is right or wrong. And I can, as an atheist, I can say it's always wrong to grape because I recognize that there are harsh consequences when those things happen. And in my opinion, that is always wrong. And that's it. Done. That is a more parsimonious position to take. It's more simple. It explains more about things around us without needing all that extra fluff, God, all this theodicies that theists try to explain away evil with. Of course, trying to explain this to a theist is much harder than it looks.